Good morning. We come again to the same chapter, 10th chapter of Matthew's Gospel. And Jesus, speaking to these disciples, these people who have been discipled rather, and are now becoming apostles because he's sending them out, tells them quite simply not to worry about what people think of them and what people might do to them. He says, all the hairs of your head are numbered. This is an amazing statement. He said, you are of immense value to the Father. He knows exactly where you are, and he knows exactly what you're doing. Take faith in this simple truth. Whatever happens to you, the Father is aware of it, and he is there with his angels protecting you and keeping you safe from the enemy. That doesn't mean to say that you will not have to suffer physically. That doesn't mean to say you will not have to suffer mentally, because the enemy will be so clever in his attack, he will turn against you in all sorts of ways. And of course, the early church, well, many Christians suffered martyrdom. They had to go into the arena and be killed by lions. They had to be tied to poles and set on fire. You know, one of the small statements that was made was, let's light up a Christian. They were tied to poles, their bodies were tarred, and then for the amusement of the crowd, it was set on fire and burned to death as people watched on. All of these things can happen, and Jesus warned them that this might happen to them. Peter himself, crucified upside down on Vatican Hill. A lovely story about him, by the way. When he was in Rome, the great persecution was starting. And the Christians in Rome said to him, it is better for you that you get out of Rome and you save your life. It's better for you because then the leadership will be restored. We'll be able to keep the leadership going even if the people are being arrested. And so Peter, listening to the advice of the elders in Rome, decided to get out of Rome. And he was traveling out of Rome when suddenly he sees somebody walking towards him. He thinks he might recognize him. And as he draws near, he suddenly realizes that the person walking towards him is Jesus. The famous statement goes out. He asks him, recorded for us in so many ways, Quo vadis, Domine? Where are you going, Lord? And Jesus looks at him very simply and says, if you're leaving my people in Rome, then I'm going in to die with them and take your place. There's still a church outside Rome, the church of Quo vadis, where this is reputed to have taken place. And Peter turns around immediately, realizes his mistake. You know, he denied Jesus in the house of Caiaphas. He wasn't going to do it again. He went straight back into Rome, and there he was arrested, and there he was crucified on Vatican Hill. See, these men and women over time went to their deaths proclaiming a truth because the enemy hated them so much. He did not want them proclaiming the gospel in a way that people could understand. Well, they are our example. Jesus sends them out. Just before this chapter, Jesus had been healing a deaf mute. And they'd said quite simply, it is by Beelzebul, the prince of demons, that he's carrying out these miracles. By the prince of demons. You can't imagine, in fact, that they would have made that type of decision. And Jesus says, if they've said that I am doing it with the power of Beelzebul, they will say the same things about you. If you're doing it my way, they will not take it easily. They will in fact attack you, and they will make fun of you, and they'll say all sorts of things against you, and they might even kill you. Just heard this week, in Vietnam, is in lockdown there because of this COVID virus. And the government is helping people, at least is helping like they are in this country. But they're helping anybody who isn't a Christian. The help does not go to Christians. That help is withheld from Christians. Yes, even today, wherever you look in the world, you find that Christians are still being persecuted and they're still being hated because of what Jesus has done and because of what we proclaim to be the truth. For the truth is the truth of the world. And as we remember this chapter, the 10th chapter of Matthew's Gospel, read it again. And you'll see that Jesus is called his disciples. He's sending out his apostles. He is saying to them quite simply, have faith. God knows where you are. Do not be afraid of the one who can kill the body, but be terrified of the one who can both kill body and soul. In other words, who can literally reject you because you have not done what you've been asked to do. So we just come before God. We commit our lives to him and we ask his blessing in what we're doing. Amen.